Hello, everybody. It is Thursday, December 29th, 2016. I am Corey Stolzenbach, joined with a wonderful guest and baseball legend. He is a member of the College Baseball Hall of Fame with an outstanding career at Grambling State University. He played in the majors between 1968 and 1980 with the Braves, White Sox, and Angels, most notably with the Braves. When he won the batting title in 1974 with a .353 batting average, he also came very close in 1971 and 1972, batting .343 and .325 respectively. He was a one-time All-Star in his career. Even though he was not the kind of person to steal bases, speed was a defining characteristic in this player. He is the Roadrunner Ralph Garr, and Ralph, happy belated birthday. I want to thank you for joining me. So you grew up with a lot of siblings, 7 to be exact. Yes, you had 7 siblings, and you grew up poor. So how were you able to live through some of the rough times when you grew up in Louisiana?
Well, it's just the fact that, when you're 7 boys and 1 girl, and the one that was older and the one that was more school-oriented went to college, and the other ones would go and work. So we 7 boys and 1 girl, I wasn't able to really go to college. But after I graduated from high school, they had a semi-pro team named Wilbert Ellis. He was the coach at Grambling College too. Coach Wilbert Ellis, he's the one that coached me in Little League. And so he coached me in Little League, and then in the summertime we played against the college team to give them practice. And so that summer after I graduated from high school, I went up and played against the college team, and just so happened that I did pretty good against the college team. And then that's when President Jones invited me up there to try it. And they have what you call a work study program. You come up there in the summer and you would work and try for the baseball team. If you didn't make the baseball team, you have worked and earned enough to enroll in school. Coach Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones was very, very stressful as far as getting an education with you, getting a degree with your baseball playing. So anyway, they had a program that you would work in the summer, and then if you made the baseball team, you never know whether you made it or whether you was rewarded a scholarship. And just so happened that summer, I worked and I did good on the team, and I was rewarded a scholarship. So President Jones sent me over to the office. The scouting director was Coach Eddie Robinson, the football coach, and he gave me a paper to take to have my mother and father to sign, and I was granted a scholarship, and that's where I was able to go to Grambling.
Yes, indeed. You did work that summer. What did you do that summer after you graduated high school? I know you were working. What specifically were you working at or as?
Well, we had different things. We would mow lawns, we would clean up the dorms, just basically taking care of maintenance around the school and preparing the kids to come back in school in the summer, from the summer, okay? So we would keep the field mowed and mowed around the campus and do all the things we could do to keep the campus going.
So whether it was your parents, your siblings, who was your main influence, or who were your main influences when you were growing up in Louisiana?
Well, me, myself, my father, he just worked all the time, He worked all the time, and my sister was a great influence to me. She was a good softball player, and then she graduated from college too. And out of we had 4 out of 7 to graduate from college, so we was really blessed. You know what I'm saying? So we got into that little mold after I got into college, trying to get an education, and then a couple of boys under me graduated from college too. So that was a real good thing.
What number child were you?
It was 3 boys younger than me and 3 boys older than me, and my sister was older than all. It was 7 boys and 1 girl.
Okay. All right. So what are your earliest memories of the game of baseball, since Louisiana doesn't have any major league teams? How did you get into the game, and what do you remember the earliest? What's your earliest fond memories of the game of baseball?
Well, the earliest memories when I used to be playing in the Little League, and then there was a guy named Mr. Curtis Mayfield whom had a semi-pro team. And I was young, but he would let me go with the semi-pro team, and then he would even let me play sometimes. So I always was I wasn't real big, but I could run and I could hit a little bit. So it was a lot of times he would let me play, and I basically always played with guys a little older than me. And therefore, it enabled you to be able to develop a little more faster, I think, because it's just like basically anything. If you're young and you play with older guys, you have the tendency to learn a little more so than playing on the same level. It really don't stop you from maturing. You know what I'm saying? It keeps you at a level of reaching up, whereas you might top off if you around people that's really on the same level with you are not as good. You see what I'm saying?
So at what point did you want to play baseball at a competitive level? Did you know that this was your calling in life, that you wanted this for a career? When did you want to do
Well, I love baseball, and basically, out of 7 boys and 1 girl, I was the only one that really took the baseball like that. I don't understand. The rest of them were just, I don't know. They just didn't play much baseball and stuff, and basketball, football and stuff. But I just played baseball, and I love baseball. I played baseball basically all of my life. I love baseball.
Yes, indeed. And you were talking earlier about the semi-pro team that Wilbur Ellis coached you on, and they faced Grambling and Prez Jones, and Wilbur Ellis was an assistant under Prez Jones. Prez Jones, he was hesitant to sign you because of your height. Here you are, you're 5'11", 185, and he thought you were too small. What did Wilbur Ellis see in you? I'm just wondering, Wilbur Ellis, what he saw in you, how he convinced Prez Jones to give you a shot. Was height much of an issue to Ellis at all, or no?
Well, see, it was a unique situation. First of all, time I got out of high school, it was 2 more guys on the team. There was a guy named Lee Chester Peavy, and it was a boy named Earl James Albrecht. They was a little bigger, but they was very good hitters too. You know what I'm saying? They was very good hitters and stronger. And those are the 2 guys basically that he was interested in. But Coach Ellis always told him that he felt that I had a good heart and I was a good player and I could hit. And I feel that he felt that I would be the one that I think that go further than any of them. That's what Coach Ellis told. So when he carried me up there, and I was small, like you're saying, and then when I first went out for him, we went out there and Coach Ellis said, well, this is Ralph Garr, and he wants to try it and everything. So he said, yeah, and then he let me try it a little bit, and then he said, well, Coach Ellis, I was a little too small and stuff, okay? So we went back. Coach Ellis said, so they said, well, Ralph, he just said you're a little small and this and that, but we just keep going anyway. So I went back, and then we came up there maybe about a week or two weeks or so later, and I was playing against his team, okay? And I was on the same team, and then I think I got about 3 or 4 hits that game, you know what I'm saying? And made some pretty good plays, got 3 or 4 hits, and then Coach Ellis, President Jones said, who is that little boy there swinging that bat like that? So Coach Ellis started to say, I had brought him up and said, well, Coach Ellis, Coach Ellis just told me, he said, well, this is one of the boys that they finished high school and everything, and he's looking for somewhere to play too. So he never did tell him that I was the boy that he brought up that he had sent back home. He never did tell him that. So, hello?
Yes, how long was it between the graduation of high school and going to Grambling? Was it immediately afterwards? Was it the next summer?
No, it wasn't really. I told you, I had been rejected from it. And then I went up there to play against them. And I got 3 or 4 hits, and that's the way I got it. It must have been, it was probably close to the middle part of the summer.
Okay, the summer after you graduated high school?
Right.
Okay, so what did your family think of the decision for you to go to school and play baseball? And go ahead.
They didn't know. Well, my mom and them signed the papers, and they really didn't know what it was. But when it was explained to them, my mother and father was elated. They said, well, they had a son going to school. You know what I'm saying? So, and then they wouldn't have to pay no money. You know what I'm saying? And then they have a little Murphy money every month, so I was able to have a few dollars in my pocket and able to stay on campus and work and earn money in the summer and able to share with my family. So it was a very good situation. Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones and Coach Ellis and a guy named Curtis Mayfield. Those are the people that really was a huge influence in my life. But I was a community-raised kid. Everybody was good to me. Like I shined shoes for a living there. In the place that I shined shoes in, I ended up buying that place and keeping it. It was a barber shop. And I ended up buying the place, and I own it today. So it's just a matter of doing some things that you feel that has a history to it, that has some positiveness to it. So that's one of the things that I try to stress, that you never know what you're going to be in the future, but if you work hard in the past, and most of the time, just about every time, it'll turn out for the best in the future if you work hard in the past, I think.
You own a barber shop. I did not know this. I know you used to.
Well, this is in Houston. That was in Ruston. It was a barber shop and a little cafe. But I used to shine shoes in the barber shop. But I ended up buying the whole little place.
I know that you.
But in Houston is when I was in with my godfather. He was the general manager for the Houston Oilers, and he was the general manager here. And he had a barbecue place that me and my wife was a part of. That was a nice little situation too.
There was a pastry shop, I think, they used to help run, too.
That's exactly right. The pastry shop and a barbecue place together. His name was Tom Williams. He ended up being the general manager of the Houston Oilers for a while. But he was the track coach at Grambling when I was there, and he was one of my inspiration as far as me going on to play baseball, because I moved to Houston when I got out of ball. I didn't go back to Ruston. I moved to Houston because I felt that Houston had a chance, that if I didn't make it to the big league, Houston offered the best opportunity for my family and I. And I always thought Houston had great hospitals, in which I thought that was a wonderful thing. And they have all served me and my family in every way. And I've really been blessed. And I think it's one of the best moves I ever made by being able to come to Houston and move here, because it has really paid off as far as being able to go to the doctor and then getting some treatment for my family and stuff. It has really been an advantage and a blessing to me and my family in so many ways.
So when you went to Grambling, you were a recreation administration major. What made you want to study that?
Recreation administration, I wasn't really a great student, but I wanted to work at something I knew something about. See, you majored in recreation administration, you minored in driver's education. It wasn't quite as difficult. It was similar to physical education, but not quite as many chemistry courses. See, people talk about physical education, but physical education, you could just about major in biology if you graduated in physical education. See, so many people talk about physical education as just game, but it's not. It's a real good field. But I was able to, my godfather was a recreational teacher at Grambling, Tom Weaver, the one I'm talking about. He was on recreation department. See, that's what it's about, organizing and intramural sports and doing all those things and setting up programs for people to participate in. So the recreation administration was a good little field too, and that was a good field coming into Houston.
Was there something you hoped to do with your degree after you graduated, or if baseball didn't work out, was there something in particular you wanted to do with that?
That's exactly why I majored in it, because I enjoyed working with kids and people. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to do that, and then recreation administration, you could help with the baseball teams and all this and help establish them, and then you could do some coaching too. So it was a good thing for me.
And I understand you also played football at Grambling too.
No.
I'm sorry.
President Eddie Robinson, I could run, and he thought, maybe, but President Jones said, no, I don't think I wanted to play no football. See, because some guys, every night that he didn't really, Coach Robinson and Prez, they didn't really see eye to eye too much on that football and baseball stuff. Of course, when I was at Grambling, they had as many good guys on the second team as they did on the first team, so they didn't really need me. You know what I'm saying? They had so many good players. They were 3 and 4 deep in every department, and just a blessing. Even this year, the Braves, Grambling won the championship in the SWAC conference this year, so it's been a long time, but they won the conference this year, so they used to do that quite a bit, them and Sullivan and Jackson, so it was a good thing, though. it enabled you to be around things that you knew something about, sir.
I do apologize for that. That is my mistake. You didn't really stand out that much right away. As a freshman, you hit 247. Then you got better as a sophomore and junior, 336, 373. What do you think was your biggest challenge having to adjust to the college game?
Well, it wasn't really. I could run and I could hit a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's no exception for speed. But they had four or five guys on the same team that I was there could outrun me. That's what I'm talking about. See, so speed wasn't something that was just new. We had a gold medal winner on our track team, and then we had guys could really run on the baseball and football team. So just like I'm saying, it was five guys that was faster than I was on the baseball team.
Yes, but as far as having to adjust, though, what do you attribute to getting better over the course of your 4 years there?
Well, as you got stronger and you just matured more. You know what I'm saying? You matured. When I first started, I was feeling my way, and then as I had success, it became a little bit easier as I played more, and therefore I just was blessed and able to do. No matter what the situation was, I was able to do pretty good. I played well just about everywhere and against everybody, so that was the blessing there.
And as far as Jones and Ellis go as coaches, what was part of their game? What did they emphasize? What kind of fundamentals did they teach you?
Well, it was about being able to. You have to think a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They wanted you to have instincts. They wanted you to be a contact player. They didn't want you to be a loose type player. It wasn't just a renegade type team. We didn't do a whole lot of bonding. We were both basically a hitting and pitching team. And Coach Ralph Garr was a big pitching guy. Most of the time, we didn't have to score a lot of runs, although we did. We never did give up a lot of runs. We had guys who could really, really pitch, and they could really pitch. So we really didn't have much trouble beating people because even if we didn't score, most of the time you wasn't going to score either. So that was the biggest strength of our team when I played. Our pitching was everything, and we had a lot of good hitters. And we could catch and throw. And President Jones, he stressed that all the time. He practiced the right way, fundamentally, catching and throwing and being balanced and all that type of stuff. He taught us basically so many things that helped us as we played baseball more.
So then, with you guys being so good with pitching and defense and throwing, would you say then that was the biggest reason that you guys went 103-11 when you were there, and then you went 35-1 your senior season?
Well, I have to say that because we played the game right, and then I think we was a runner-up in the NAIA tournament there and lost the last two games, but we was the top seed there for a while there. So we had a pitcher that I thought, I never will forget it, but we had a left-hand pitcher, but Fred pitched the other pitcher. But I think we'd have won if we'd have pitched the left-hand pitcher, but we didn't. But that's all a part of it. But I thank God that we was able to go up to the NAI tournament, and I did pretty well up there. So that's one of the things that have helped me a great deal, to go up and compete against the different talented players, like it was mostly white teams, too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you guys finished in third place.
Yeah.
Yes, in the NAIA World Series, that was in 1967, your senior year.
Right.
Maybe you could tell me about this. I'm not too sure. There are different sources as to what you hit. Some say you hit 568, others say you hit 582, and others say you hit 585. Do you know what your batting average was your senior season?
I don't know. I think it was more like 580 something. I'm not trying to pump it up, but it was more like 580 somewhere in there. It was a little more than 560, I think. But I'm not. Of course, I don't know exactly, but I have the book that had all. It was about 580 something. I don't know which one of them it was.
Right, because there are different sources. I tried calling Grambling State, and they never got back to me about that. So I was just wondering.
Right.
And
let's see, and that's one of the things that makes it tough too, because we just it's just like I was able to be inducted into the college. We were just included back in 13 when I was included in the College Hall of Fame. So it was a lot of things that we done that wasn't recognized too much. So therefore, when you look for it, it's hard to find a little more, sir. I think, that's just the way things are.
What is one individual memory that really stands out to you from that senior season, and how you're able to put the ball in play and hit so well?
Well, I was focused, and I wanted a chance to play Major League Baseball. You know what I'm saying? And I hadn't really, nobody wasn't really, in the way I was signed, it wasn't really, I wasn't really a big guy on the radar. The way I was signed, it was just like I was able to get in the college ball, that's the way I was able to get in the pro ball. They sent a guy down there to see 4 more guys, and this guy ended up picking me. That's the way I got the chance to play Major League Baseball, got a chance to be drafted. Otherwise, I wouldn't have ever been drafted, sir. It was a guy named Clint Cardinal, and Mr. Paul Richard is the two people that I have to give the greatest credit for my success as a Major League Baseball player.
So what did they see in you?
As a professional baseball player.
What did they see in you? What was it that they liked about you?
So the guy home was in Coachella, Louisiana. That's outside of Shreveport, Louisiana, okay? And I was born in Monroe and raised in Ruston. And I went to Grambling, okay? They sent a guy named Clint Cardinal. He was a catcher when he played, okay? And Mr. Paul Richard, one of the premier people of baseball back then, it was Paul Richard. He was a great baseball man. Anyway, he sent Clint Cardinal down to Grambling to look at, there was a boy that played right field for us named Frank Patterson. There was a left-hand pitcher for us named Jimmy Lee Jackson. We were just like brothers. He was supposed to see him. It was a catcher named Ben Williams, and there was a shortstopper named Michael Cummins. Okay, so, and a third baseman named Matt Alexander. And he told Clint Cardinal to go see all them guys, okay? And I think on that day, I went to bat. I went to bat. It was a double hit or something. And the double hit, I think I had, out of 9 at bats, I think I had 7 or 8 hits. But I hit about 4 triples or something that day. Okay, so anyway, when Clint Cardinal got back to Mr. Paul Richard, and he asked him, what about the catcher? He said, I'm not really worried about him, Richard. He said, what about the pitcher? He said, well, he just ain't got enough for me. And then, what about the right fielder? He's strong, but I don't know about him, Richard. And then he said, what about the shortstopper? He said, he's a pretty good player, and third baseman can run. He said, but now let me tell you, you take all of them guys you want. You just give me that damn little second baseman, and that's all I want. And that's what he said. He said, well, you give me that damn little second baseman, that's all I want. So Mr. Richard told Clint Cardinal, he said, okay, I'm going to draft him for you, and you're going to have to train him, okay? So, anyway, I end up being drafted off of just Clint Cardinal. He drafted me in the 3rd round, and Mr. Richard gave me to Clint Cardinal. And from then on, that's the way I got to the big league. When I got to spring training, then nobody worked with me but Clint Cardinal. He worked with me every day. But anyway, when I signed though, and Mr. Richard asked Clint Cardinal, is he gonna play second base? He said, damn right, he don't play second base. Yeah, Rich, he gonna damn sure play second base. He gonna play second base. But I wasn't really that good. Playing second base at Grambling and playing second base at pro ball is a whole different world. So anyway, I went out and double A. But I went straight from college to double A baseball in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And anyway, I was playing second base for a while there. And then, man, a couple of guys on the double play run over me and like to kill me. I made about 5 or 6 or 7 errors in the first 3 or 4 games. And Mr. Clint Cardinal called Mr. Paul Richard. He said, Mr. Richard, I tell you, I don't know about him boy playing that second base. We don't get him out of that damn infield, he don't get killed. I said, but he gonna hit, bitch. He gonna hit. and I ended up winning the batting title, and the rest is history.
Sure enough, you hit very well in the International League in the late 60s. What was the transition like for you to go from playing second base to the outfield in the minors?
Well, that helped. Well, it helped me. It helped me because it allowed me to concentrate more on hitting. Because second base is a unique position, but you have to really be careful. Although it's done changed now, but when I was coming up, they'd run over you and kill you, man. You know what I'm saying? And so, but now they got a lot more rules and stuff, and everything's a little more different. And when I came up, it was a more of a defensive. You had to turn it up and do all this, but it's a little more of an offensive position now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yes, Jose Altuve comes to mind, and what a great hitter he is. Yes,
all of them, Alomar, all of them. Now, you know what I'm saying? They are productive. This guy with Cleveland, all them guys. Now, you look at the Petrolia, look at all them guys, all of them. You know, but that's what it's all about. But I was able to make the adjustment. I could usually hit a fastball. I was a pretty good fastball hitter, and that made a big difference to me. The ball that gave me the most trouble when I started was a changeup. But the fastball, I was able to catch up with it most of my life.
So when you were in 1967 in Double-A, you began a very close relationship with Dusty Baker, and you're still friends with to this day. What do you like the most about Dusty?
Dusty is one of the most baseball knowledgeable young men I've ever met in his life. Now he's a guy that didn't go to college, but he was more of a college student than me. But he was a very good student as far as English and math and spelling and reading. He was very good as far as that is concerned. And if you notice now, him as a major league manager, you can tell how good he is because he's so organized and he knows how to organize things. And I feel that if he didn't went to college, it's just a matter of going. But he was educated on the field because he's a very intelligent, smart young man, and he didn't mind sharing his talent with other people. And he shared and cared within and everybody. And he's a wonderful human being as a friend. And me and him signed together in 67. And he came out of high school and went straight to Double-A ball with me. And so, you know, he had to be special to come out of a high school like at that age and then go to Double-A balls also. And so I think he was a great influence on me, and I was a great influence on him. And I think we're still like brothers today. We talk. I tell you, I'm going out to see his son probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. He got a son now that's a good-looking little prospect that I'm going to have to write a report on. So I'm really looking forward to going out there and spending a few days as far as watching his son play and writing a report on him.
Yeah, I think we all are familiar with Darren Baker, and he'll ever be remembered as the bat boy for the Giants in the 0-2 World Series when J.T. Snow picked him up.
Saved his life.
Yeah, we all remember that.
He got really hurt bad behind that. J.T. Snow, you have to give him all the credit in the world. That was super nice of him. Darren got to always be beholden to him for that.
Yes, indeed. So the next year in 68, you go from Double-A to the majors. How surprised were you at that you were going to see the big leagues so soon?
Well, I was 21 years old, and I didn't have a whole... See, everybody talk about I moved fast, but I was having success, and I was a grown man. You know what I'm saying? So, either you could or you didn't. People say, well, that was good. It was good to a certain extent, but I was too old to go down lower. Now, see, Dusty, he went down lower a year or so. He went down and played a little lower classification of ball because he was younger. But I was much older. So I had to keep having success in order to keep moving up because there wasn't no room to move backwards with much for me. You see what I'm saying?
Right, and when you made your debut, you're pinch hitting the top of the eighth against the Mets at Shea Stadium. Ron Taylor's on the mound. And, nothing special. You ground out on a 6-3 play. It could have been Lum Harris, who was your manager at the time, a teammate. What kind of advice did they give you before you walked into that batter's box? You were going up to the plate for the first time in the majors. What kind of advice did you get for your first at-bat?
Oh, Hank Aaron just said, see the ball. He said, no different. He said, whatever you did to get you here, that's what's going to keep you here. And he said, so you just do what you can do, son, and do your best every time you go to the plate. Henry Aaron was and when I got in the pro ball and got to meet Mr. Aaron, that's the epitome of it. Anybody that ever played baseball or know anything about baseball, if they first impression was to watch Henry Aaron play and to talk to him, they had to have some success. And that's what Dusty Baker and I was blessed with. I tell you, Mr. Aaron was super nice human being. And see, there's so many other guys were super nice, but Mr. Aaron was more of a quiet nice. He didn't really say too much, but anytime you asked him something, he always had an idea of what was right. And he was an excellent baseball player. I tell everybody, it might be somebody as good, but I don't think there'll ever be nobody no better than Henry Aaron was on a baseball field.
I think I remember you reading that, yes. And in '68, when you debuted, you got a few games here and there, some plate appearances. Then all of a sudden, you have an infield single in the second game of a doubleheader against the Dodgers, and Bill Singer is on the mound. He got your first career hit. What was going through your mind when you made it safely to first? You got your first big league hit. What went through your mind there?
Well, in the Dodgers, that's the team that was first black guy. That's everything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just blessed, man. I've had so many good things to happen to me till I just, it's been a excellent educational ride for me and my family. And to have Dustin, Henry Aaron, and then I was able to play against Pete Rose, whom I think was an idol of mine, too. I liked it the way he played the game. You know what I'm saying? And there was so many guys that I respected in the game, like Joe Torre and Tom Seaver and them guys. Seaver was a pitcher, and we didn't talk to pitchers, but Tom Seaver and Steve Carson, those were the guys, and Gibson, those guys I looked at and smiled at and respected, but you didn't ever talk to them. It wasn't what you call talking buddies, but guys like Pete Rose and Hank Aaron and stuff, and guys like that. And so it really enabled me to, I don't know, Dustin and I just managed to get along with people, but Pete Rose, when we go into Cincinnati, we go by his house and stuff. He was more than a friend to Dustin and I. So we was really blessed. And then Billy William and Ernie Banks, we just had a lot of good people. And then when you go into Pittsburgh, the Lumber Company, all them guys, and Stargell and Oliver and all them guys, Hepton and all them guys over there, they was real nice to me and Dusty also. So I think we were just really blessed to be able to come at a time when people with baseball people and guys like Al Alden and all those guys, they took the time to say hello, and they seem to respect us playing hard and giving it a good fight every time we faced one another.
But when you got your first hit, what went through your mind? What did you feel after you got your first career hit?
Well, that's behind me. Then I need to get some more. That's what I was thinking about then. I need to get a lot more. So I thought it was wonderful. It was really a good feeling,
And sure enough, you did. You would get a lot more hits, although you played sparingly in 1969, 1970. Right. The International League in 69, you hit 329. 1970, you hit 386. Who would you credit the most for being such a good hitter? Who do you think helped you the most in being the hitter that you became?
I think Clint Gardner and Hank Aaron and Dusty Baker. I'm talking about the people that really helped me. And Pete Rose. See, Pete Rose, the thing that Pete Rose would tell me all the time, see, I was a guy like this. Like if I went to bat 5 times and I had 3 or 4 hits, I didn't just, if I had 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, I felt pretty good. Pete Rose, he wasn't satisfied unless he had 5 out of 5. You know what I'm saying? That's what he told me. He said, Ralph, look, he said, you was bat as hard when you don't have a hit as you do when you do have a hit. It's amazing how many more hits you got. And I'm talking to a guy got 4,450-something hits. You know what I'm saying? But Pete Rose was just he was just, I'm talking about, it's no way a guy could be a better hitter than Pete Rose. I'm talking, Pete Rose was at the utmost. He could just snatch a bone hit. And just like he said, if the score was 20-1 or 1-0, he would still bat the same. And like I said, if he had 10 hits, he wanted 11 hits. He didn't never quit all the time. So he was just a good role model as far as me. I think he really helped me a lot as far as fighting, to keep fighting and to try to do better. He seemed like he was reaching records, and I was trying to have success, more or less.
Yes, and they did call him Charlie Hustle for a reason. So we get to 1971. You're supposed to compete in center field for the job with Sonny Jackson, but instead Rico Carty, he led all baseball in 1970 with a .366 batting average. He tore his knee. He played winter ball in the Dominican Republic. He missed all of 1971, and here you go. You mentioned Joe Torre earlier. That was his MVP season of 71. He batted .363, Joe Torre did. You batted .343, and that was your first full year in the big leagues. Because your previous time you were not eligible for Rookie of the Year, that was your first full season, and it was your teammate Earl Williams who ended up winning the Rookie of the Year that year. But what do you credit for your success your first full year in the majors, hitting .343?
Well, it's just like you said, I was competing against some of the best, like you said. You know, Pete Rose and Hank, well, you know, like I said, he would tell you, you know, just give it your best, and see what happened. See, Rico Carter and I played on the same team in the Dominican Republic. See, I won 3 batting titles over there. So you know, I think I hit 400 over there too one year. I hit 380 something and 400 and something over there in the Dominican Republic. But Rico Carter and I was on the same team, and I was on the team when he got his leg broke. And then when they called me, and Mr. Lumen called and told me, he said, well, Ralph, Rico's leg is broke. He said, now left field is yours for you to lose. So when I went to spring training, it was my job to lose. They had given me the job.
And what do you remember about spring training in 71 that year? What do you remember about spring training when you got there in 71? What do you remember about that?
Well, Hank, you know, I didn't, we, as rookies, me and Dustin, we didn't talk much. You know, like the guys would, I could run, and them pitchers would just hit fly balls and just to watch me run. And they would just run me, and I was scared to tell them I didn't want to run no more, but then Hank Aaron would come out there and tell them, so y'all let him rest a little bit now. You know what I'm saying? But they'd love to watch me run and stuff like that. So I just really been Dustin the same way. So we just, you know, it was a, I think, I don't want to say easy, but Henry made my life a lot easier than I think it would have been. You know what I'm saying? Because of the way he carried himself and the way he respect. See, Mr. Aaron respect the game of baseball. He's the epitome of respect for the game of baseball. You know what I'm saying? So, because he was a guy that, you know, like, you know, our guys throw spitballs and stuff. Now, if you wanted him to be fighting mad and fuming, you threw him. He didn't believe. He just don't think cheating and stuff like that in baseball. Ain't no place for none of that in his life. You know, he don't believe in none of that. That don't do nothing for him. That's what I'm saying. And if you knew Mr. Aaron, you respected the game. That's what I'm saying. If you was a friend of his, you was gonna most of the time respect the game because that's exactly what he did, and he took pride in that.
Yeah, so what a great power hitter he was. 755 home runs. A lot more than what you hit. You weren't known for hitting the home run ball. You weren't known.
I accept the little career that I had under Mr. Aaron, boy, and I wouldn't take nothing for it. I wouldn't, no kind of way. But the reason that I thank God for that, I didn't win the Rookie of the Year, but I really played 9 years and something. If I hadn't been coming up at the end of the year, from the start, I wouldn't have got 10 years in. It'd been 9 years and something. It's a big difference between 9 years and something in the pitching than 10 years in the pitching. So I was able to put them 2 years together and get a full year out of it, and that gave me 10 full years. I'd say I've been blessed in so many ways in the game of baseball. And things like that happen for you. That's a blessing within understanding, sir. That's all I'm saying.
It was in that 1971 season, as I was about to say, with the home runs. You weren't known for it, but sometimes you had your games.
Right.
You're facing the Mets. Tom Seaver,
right.
Bottom of the 10th. You tie the game.
Right.
And then Ron Taylor, the same Ron Taylor you faced your debut, you hit a walk-off to win it. And this was, you were actually the first player since Art Shamsky in 1966 to hit 2 home runs in extra innings. Take me back to that game. What do you remember about those 2 at-bats?
Well, but Tom Seaver was just here's a guy that you face and that you idolize. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about here's a guy that you face and idolize. And I didn't really hurt Seaver too much, but just having to get it out over the plate and I hit it out of left center. And Ron Taylor just happened to get it up and I hit it out of left field too. I hit Tom Seavers out of left center and hit Ron Taylor out of left field. So, it was just, the game was going pretty good and Seaver, to face him, you know what I'm saying? It was just a good feeling, and I always bared down and gave my best against him every time I faced him, just within myself, because I had so much respect for him.
What were you looking for in those 2 ABs? Were you looking to drive it out of the park?
Well, I always basically hit everything off of the fastball for me. A lot of people look for change-ups and curveballs. I don't think I ever, I think Ferguson Jenkins the only guy that really made me look for a change-up. But other than that, I hit everything off of a fastball for me.
And why do you say that when you talk about the Hall of Famer Ferguson Jenkins make you look for a change-up? What do you mean by that? You anticipate a change-up coming?
That's because he had such a good one, and he could throw it any time, and I remember the first time he faced me, I think he struck me out 4 or 5 times, so I had to try to figure out another technique to get to him, and he struck me out with that changeup most of the time, and then he had me, what I'm saying, you go to looking for the change, if you don't look for the changeup on him, he'll throw so many of them till it'll make you look bad. Most of the time, the people, I didn't look for a changeup, they would mix a fastball in. Well, he wouldn't. He would just keep throwing it more or less, and I kept waiting. And that's where he got the best of me most of the time until I made an adjustment. Then I started getting a hit or 2 off of him because I could run. Because I needed to make contact. As long as you don't strike me out, I had a chance,
And you were not the kind of strike out. You never struck out more than 68 times this season, so you had a very good eye at the plate.
Yeah, I didn't strike out a lot, That's what I was saying,
So going back to that game against the Mets, were they fastballs that Seaver and Taylor threw you? Were those 2 fastballs?
Both of them was fastballs, right, exactly.
Okay, so you had a couple nicknames. First, most famously, the Roadrunner. Some conflicting reports. Some say it was Ted Turner who gave you the nickname. Others say it was Bob Hope, who was the public relations director for the Braves.
Right.
Yeah, right. So who was it? Because I know they eventually got the licensing agreement.
It was Bob Hope because I left before Ted Turner. Right when he bought the team. Mr. Turner, then he wasn't. He was me and him. I got to know him after I think I left the year he bought the team. I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd stayed there with him. But I was just saying I left the year that I think he bought the team. But Bob Hope got the copyright name the Roadrunner. He called Warner Brothers and got the copyright to use that Roadrunner name. And then when they got the copyright, I was known as the Roadrunner the first year. But Hank Aaron was batting third on the team. They didn't need no base stealer because Hank Aaron could drive you in from second base or first base as well as he could from third base. So you didn't really need to be. They sort of used it for a while and drew a few people, but I was on the team with Mr. Aaron, and when he's batting third, if I got on base, I'd done my job. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to be running all over the place or worried about me stealing the base and him hitting,
Right, that is exactly correct, yes. And they put the Roadrunner character on the scoreboard in Atlanta, and whenever you reach base, the fans in Atlanta would go beep, beep, like Roadrunner was known for.
That's right, exactly.
But you were talking about then how Hank Aaron, the power guy, you guys had some real power hitters in that day. Darrell Evans, Orlando Cepeda,
right.
Hammer and Hank, and you never stole more.
David Johnson had a great year. Dustin Baker had a great year. It was quite a few guys. Clete Boy even had a good year over there. So we had some pretty good Philippe Lou, some guys. And we had some pretty good little players for a while there.
Yes, indeed. And You never stole more than 35 bases in a season because of that. So I was wondering, when you would steal bases, I think you stole 172 in your career. What were your instincts and your thoughts on the base paths? What were your instincts once you got to first base or to second base when you're trying to steal? What were your base running instincts like?
I would go by it. Most of the time, if I got the proper lead, it was going to be hard to throw me out because we had watches and stuff. They could time the release time from the catcher to second base and from you running from first to second. And so most of the time I do pretty good at that. But I could just, like I stole 63 and 40 something in the minor leagues, and I stole 35 or so. I think the first year or so up there when I came up with that road runner thing. But with Henry and I said we had a team that they could hit a little bit and stuff. So we wasn't worried about that too much. We didn't need no Ricky Henderson and White. We didn't need somebody to get on base, and that's what I was able to do, thank God.
Yes, but I mean, what were your instincts like? What were you thinking? What made you say, okay, I'm going to run here, I'm not going to run here? What was it like for you? What was the situation?
It all depends on what the situation was, and that's what it was all about. You know what I'm saying? Like if we were down or up and one run down or one run behind, one run ahead or a few runs ahead, and you wanted to try to make it a little more difficult on a good pitcher, then you would run. It was just like Mr. Aaron. If you notice, they talk, Henry Aaron could have stolen a lot more bases, but he never did hardly steal no base that wasn't important. If you watch him, he might steal 30, 25, or 30 bases, but he wouldn't be thrown out no more than 3 or 4 times all year, He had a high percentage of stolen bases if you study it. And see, that's what he most taught. He taught you to help your team. He wasn't about you having so much success, I don't think. Success just came with him helping his team, I think.
Yes, and the success he did have. And also another nickname, you were also known as Gator. What's the story behind the Gator nickname?
That's out of Louisiana swamp. Alligator country. That's when they call me Gator. Yeah, that's alligator country. The Louisiana swamp, that's what they call that. That's the alligator.
Who gave you that nickname and when did you first get it?
Well, my name was Ralph Garr, G-A-R, and the name after sort of a gar fish. It looked sort of like an alligator a little bit too.
Okay, that's an interesting take on that. So in 72, Rico Cardi, he gets a job back in left field. You played 134 games in 1972. Even though as great as you were at the plate, you weren't known for your defense that much. What do you think it was that made defense such a challenge for you?
Well, if you look at my feeling and everything, I wasn't as bad as people said. Let me tell you, the media have a tendency to project of what they want, and they want the media to feed the public something. That's what they run with. They don't really take time to find out about it. The media can feed you to anybody. If you look at, just think about the media or anything now. Look at the world now. It's what is fed to people, and that's what their assumption is. Now, whether it's right or wrong and different, don't nobody really care, don't seem like to me. That's what the difference is. Now, how could I have been that bad when I could outrun anybody that just about played with me out there? So, if you can outrun anybody, you're going to get the more balls. That means you're going to catch more balls. See, it's a simple thing, sir. It's not complicated. You know what I'm saying? Just use common sense. How bad can you be if you can catch any? If you can really, really run, how bad can you be?
That is true, but it is...
Well, don't nobody care about truth. That's all I was saying. So, but look at what is my feeling percentage? Look all through that, then say. You know what I'm saying? So what did that do? What are that saying? Just like they said, people that votes on the Hall of Fame. What do? They're writers. What do they do? Huh?
Well, they are journalists. They cover the game. They're being objective.
Yeah, they are journalists. They cover the game, but they do what they want to do. But do that make it right?
Everybody has their own standards as to what makes a Hall of Fame or what doesn't.
That's all I'm saying. But look at them, though. That's all I'm saying, sir. That's what I'm saying. So if the media say you was a bad fielder, that's what they say. You're a bad fielder. They don't care how many balls you catch. You're just a bad fielder. You don't think that's true?
Well, it is up to perception, I guess, though it depends.
Well, whether you guess it or not, it's a fact. I deal with facts. I'm talking about, okay, if you got a guy got a percentage of feeling, and you're not going to go by his percentage, you're just going by what you think or what you say. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. I'm just saying. It doesn't really phase me one way or the other. I know I gave the best of mine. I played as hard as I could every time I went out there. I didn't never go out there with the fact that I was going to be a bad player in no way. I always tried to do better every time I went out there.
Yes, indeed. And 1972, again, you finished second in the batting crown, this time to Billy Williams, the aforementioned Billy Williams. He hit 333, you hit 325. Was it ever a goal of yours to become a batting champion, Ralph?
Well, Clint Cardinal, the guy that signed me, I was glad, I was blessed. I really was glad that I won one. You know what I'm saying? I think that one was very instrumental in my career. It really helped me a lot as far as being one of the fairly decent ball players that ever played the game and played hard every day. I tried to play as hard as I could, and I might not have been as good as some people expected me to be or wanted me to be, but I gave them the best that I could give them every day that I had the chance to go out and play.
But did you ever say to yourself, yeah, I want to be a batting champion someday? Was that ever a goal of yours, or was it something that just happened?
Well, I'd won batting titles, and I thought it had been sort of short. I didn't win a batting title in Double A, but I won one in Triple A, then I won one in the Dominican Republic, and I'd won one in college. And I would have liked to have won a batting title in the Major League to show that I was qualified, that I was the type guy that could win a batting title, you know. And I was hoping that I could have won it the first year, but I didn't. But the odds of Joe Torre hitting 360 was a joke, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I said, well, maybe it wasn't for me. But in my fourth year, I did. So I thank God for that. But I didn't never quit. But I wanted to win more because I wanted Mr. Cotton to be proud of the fact that he gave me the opportunity.
Yes, and it was in 1973. You hit 299, even though you had 200 hits. What do you think was behind the big drop-off that season, going from 325 in 1972 to 299 in 1973? What do you think was behind it?
Do you know what I tell people about baseball? Just like you go to school and you hit them, once you come on the radar, they don't attack you the same. You know, they make adjustments. If you notice more, that's why very few people hit 400 every year. You know what I'm saying? Even as great as Ted Williams hit 400 one time, didn't he?
Yes, he had 400, and it was the last one to do it in 1941. He had 406.
Right. So he didn't hit 400 every year, though. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, what made him drop off to 350? Well, the pitchers pitch a little different as you do things to them. See, when I first came up, they didn't know me and I didn't know them, but they were watching Hank Aaron on that thing pretty good then. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was a little easier. And then most of the time I'm batting first, they threw me a lot of fastballs. But after you start hitting them, they make adjustments. They have reports on guys. That's one thing about baseball. Like they talking about all these new metric guys. They always had reports on what guys they feel was their weaknesses and strengths. As long as I've been in baseball, and they talk all these number guys that doing all this stuff that's going on. Well, I don't know why they think that's all new. What makes that new? That they would shift and do things. They just taking it to an extreme, I think. But just like I said, that's your opinion. You know what I'm saying? So I don't let it bother me. They just do what they do, but I don't think it's good. But they do what they think they need to do because they're in control. You know, and just like the people that win, they number guy, but they play the same game that baseball have to play to win. Like the Cardinals ain't no you think the Cubs was built on numbers, on stats? No, they built on ability, don't you think?
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely true, yes.
See, that's what I'm saying. They built on ability. They built on 50 walks and no scratch. And whenever you tell me that a scratch out is the same as a ground out, then I don't need to be taught. need to try to play against you. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yes, well, you weren't known. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I'm certain. It's just like I said, just like you said. Everybody has their opinion, and if you're in a position to give your opinion, that's okay. So that's the way I look at it. So everything is fine. You know, I'm not in disagree with nobody trying to hurt nobody, but I tell you, you know, you need some ability to play this game. You can talk about all the numbers you want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? It takes some ability to play this game.
Yes, it does, and each player is their own style and their own thing. You didn't really steal that much, but a lot of times you would get infield hits. And you actually never had more than 44 walks in a season. That was the most times you ever walked. What were the reasons that you didn't walk that much?
Because I hit early in the count. I didn't wait for no pitcher to get. And most of the time I made contact. See, I wasn't a whole lot of swing and miss guy. Most of the time if I swung at it, I hit it. And that was one of the things to me. And they try to make this, the numbers guys try to make this bad about Altuve. They talk about he don't walk much and but he get hit. So what are you telling me? You know what I'm saying? He's not really a numbers guy's ball player. Well, what are you telling me? What is a numbers guy's ball player? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do see what you're saying, and you're talking. You're talking about adjustments, and I want to know about some of the adjustments you made going into 1974 because I want to point out to our listeners, you almost got traded to the Phillies for Larry Boa, but that trade didn't go through. And I'm wondering what it meant to you or how you felt that you were almost dealt after 73, how much that motivated you for 74, what kind of adjustments you made going into that season.
I just felt that the Braves, he told me, he said, well, Rep, you had a bad year and everything. And I said, 200 hits and hitting 299 is a bad year. So I just took it a little personal. I said, well, if he feel like that, I said, I'm going to have to have a good year next year in order to keep working. And that's what I did. Thank God.
So then what were your goals when you arrived at spring training in 1974?
Oh, what to have my best year. I wanted my best year. I wanted to have just about that year.
Yes, you wanted to have the best year possible that year. Yes, you did, and indeed, you ended up hitting 353 that season. It was a record breaking for sure. But the one thing that people focus on the most, though, that was when Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's record. You know, it was the Deep South. There was hatred going on for Hank. You know, the color of his skin. He shook it off. They didn't want him to break a white man's record. And I'm wondering what kind of encounters you faced yourself with the color of your skin at that time, and if the way that Hank Aaron dealt with it, if that rubbed off on you with how you dealt with your own racism, whatever you might have dealt with back then.
Oh, Hank Aaron took it off of everybody. He puts it all on him. You know what I'm saying? He didn't never bring none of that to us to make us afraid or openly. Anything he mostly did with, all he wanted to do is play baseball. He was interested in his team winning a ball game. He didn't really gripe and complain about the stuff that he went through. He was an amazing man. You know, it's hard. Some people can go through all the stuff out in the world and everything, and walk through a door and leave all their troubles at the door and pick it up when they come back. Well, that's what Hank Aaron was in baseball. I didn't care what he was doing outside, what happened in his life. When he got to the baseball field, he would leave it right at that door, and then he wouldn't pick it up until he came out off in that baseball field, and then he'd pick it up again. He didn't take none of his private stuff into the clubhouse with griping and complaining. He didn't do none of that. And therefore, he lived by example, and that's one of the things. And if you notice, I wasn't on the disabled list that much. Dusty Baker wasn't on the disabled list that much because Henry wasn't on the disabled list that much. He said you can't help your club in the tub. So I was just scared to not play. You know what I'm saying? So he was just the quietest, inspiring person. He and Pete Rose were guys that. They were the guys that I thought, and Clemente, those the guys that I thought were just I don't know. You could just looking at them and watching them play. And I just respected them and respected the game.
But what kind of stuff did you deal with personally at that time?
Well, I didn't never look for too much negative. So I was blessed to be able to play baseball. You know what I'm saying? I'm running around grabbing and complaining that people don't have food on the table and don't even get a chance. I'm up here and I'm eating good and making a little money and able to help people and help my family. What can I really complain about? I just need to thank God and work hard every day and try to help somebody. And that's all I really wanted to do. I wasn't looking for the negative part. That's going to come anyway. I was trying to play the best I could play every day to stay there as long as I could. That's all I was trying to do.
Which is always good to focus on the positives. And when, because you were in the dugout when he broke the record, but you know, in Cincinnati, he tied the record against Jack Billingham of the Reds.
I was on second base. I'll never forget that. Yeah, beautiful.
So what did that mean to be part of you when he tied the record? What did that mean to you to be part of that?
I wanted to be on base when he broke it, but I was on base when he tied it, and that just thrilled my heart. You know what I'm talking about? See, and just like I said, Mr. Aaron is everything to me and my family as far as respect and respect for the game and the type of person he is and the type of life that he lives and people he helped and the peace, share, and care. And he's not a black or white guy. He's an everybody's guy. That's what I love about Mr. Aaron.
Yes. What were your thoughts on Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, who said that he had to play in 2 of the 3 games in Cincinnati because the Braves, they didn't want to play him in Cincinnati. They wanted him to break the record at home. What were your thoughts about that when Bowie Kuhn forced him to play at least 2 of those 3 games against the Reds?
That's Mr. Boone's job. See, let me tell you, sir, and this is what I want you to say. I don't go around complaining. That was his job. That wasn't my job. That he made a choice for what he thought was best. It's just like you were saying, everybody got their opinion of these writers about the Hall of Fame. Mr. Boyd thought that he was making the best choice for the game. So, if he's in charge and he make the best choice, what am I running around trying to be negative toward him about it? I'm not looking for nothing. I don't think he was trying to hurt Hank or nothing. He was just trying to keep the integrity of the game. You know what I'm saying? I know the people at home want it and just thank God that it did. But, you just have to take it with a grain of salt. Don't try to make Mr. Boyd no bad guy. He's not a bad guy. I don't think he was trying to hurt him or nothing. That just was a part of the game.
Right. Just want to know what you thought about that. And when Hank Aaron did break the record, what was the first thing you said to him when he did break the record?
Oh, I just said, you done it. He said, I'm glad it's over. He said, let's get back to playing baseball. See, that's what he'd say all the time. He said, I'll be glad when it's over because we need to try to win some games. That's what he would always say. He was just, I'll tell you, he's just such a good, he was such a good lift to you when you was down or something. Mr. Aaron, he had a way of letting you know that you were really blessed because of some of the things that he had been through that you would know about. That it would take a special person to do the things and go through the things that he's done, And then we have to look back over and thank Willie Mays and guys like that really they was watching Willie Mays really good, and when they looked up, Hank Aaron had run up on him so close it was scary. You know what I'm saying? So we just baseball have a way of taking care of itself. And it's just like I'm saying now. And, see, baseball, the Cubs won, but the Cubs won with baseball players and ability. They didn't win with no numbers kind of guys. You see what I'm saying? They won with money and ability. So it don't get no better than that.
That's exactly correct. And going on a record you said that still stands today, 149 hits at the All-Star break. Hasn't been done before, hasn't been done since. And I want to point out that you actually went hitless in your first 4 games of the season. What finally got you going out of that early slump, and how were you able to see the ball so well that year in '74?
I was hungry that year. I was hurt because the Braves, I just felt that they wouldn't. I said, well, I got to have a good year. I said, I got to have a good year because I don't want them to think that I done just sit down on them or nothing. See, I had pride, sir. And Henry Evans, if you look at his record, he gave them a good year every year. But it's appalling to how consistent he was. But what I'm saying, I just wanted to be a little bit of him. You know what I'm saying? Because him and Pete Rose, guys like that, who gave him a good year every year. But I just fought a good fight, and I just wanted to have a good year. But I tell you, I think about that too every now and then. People don't say too much, but that's a lot of hits to have went over, and then to have 149 hits All-Star break. That was some kind of takeoff, sir.
Yes, but what was one factor that really got you going? How did you go from being hitless early on in the season to 149 hits of the All-Star break? How did you go from that to that?
Well, I was just aggressive. See, I was aggressive, and I could hit a little bit, but I was aggressive, and most of the time I was consistent, and I didn't walk a lot. You see what I'm saying? See, when you don't walk much, it's just like Altuve. He don't walk much, but he get 200 and some hits. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So it's hard to walk a lot and get hit. If you notice, Barry Bonds walked 200 times, but he didn't get but 130 or 40 hits. You see what I'm saying?
That is true, correct, yes.
So that's all I was saying, sir. I was blessed to be able to go to bat a lot of times. See, I went to bat during that 600 and something, close to 700 times. See, that make a big difference. That's doing that twice as much as a person go,
That is correct. And on June 2nd, you were batting .391, and as late as June 9th, you were batting .390. How much pressure were you feeling at that time, if at all, as far as your batting average was going? How much pressure did you feel during June when you were batting in the 390s?
Well, it was, I never did worry about that. I just wanted to hit 300 and have a good year, and in that. I wasn't really no big pressure kind of guy too much. I try not to let that bother me. I wasn't trying to set no record. I was just trying to play, sir. I never did really go out there trying to hit a record or trying to get more hits or I just played the game hard every day, and I just wanted people to feel that I played hard every day and gave my best every day. That's all I wanted. He gave his best every day. He didn't slop or disrespect the game. I never want nobody to say I disrespected the game of baseball or that I didn't play hard or I didn't try. I didn't like none of that. So I didn't want none of that on me.
So in that 74 season, how were the teams strategizing and playing against you that year? What kind of strategies were taken trying to stop you, the opposition?
They didn't really try to stop me. They didn't really, because I was more of a free swinger. It wasn't really no special way to pitch me. You know what I'm saying? Because if I made contact, I could run. I'd get a lot of infield hits and stuff too. You know what I'm saying? If I hit the ball to the left or right of the shortstop, it was hard for him to throw me out. You know what I'm saying? So it really wasn't a defense for that. I think the number guys now, if I was playing a Carew and Rose, they would hit 9,000 the way these people are doing now. Carew, could you imagine him hitting against these kind of shifts? He'd hit 1 million. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he did win 7 batting titles in his career, Rod Carew did. And the American League batting title is now named in his honor.
Woo-hoo! He was just, I'm telling you, now he's a good friend of mine. He was one of the guys that I respected a lot. Antonio Lee and them guys over there. I really, those are the kind of people that me and Carew have been real good friends for a long time.
Yes, and on more serious notes, I know that he's gone through some problems over the past couple of years.
He sure did, right.
Open heart surgery.
Before him, but he's doing a little better now, I think.
Yes, and that is a good thing. Glad to hear that his open heart surgery was successful. And so that year in 1974, you're an all-star for the only time in your career. Not sure how that was. You could argue that you should have been in the all-star game more often, but how did it feel to be an all-star that season in Pittsburgh?
Oh, it was great. It was great. I just wanted to be. I told you, I wasn't one. I was happy to be a part, sir. I just felt that I was blessed to be a part. That was my whole thing. I ain't never went that Ralph Garr deserved this or Ralph Garr deserved that. Ralph Garr worked hard and wanted the people to respect him and play. It's just like I didn't get no hits, but Pete Rose let me bat 3 or 4 times. He said, "Ralph, go on and play." You know what I'm saying? See, I've had so many blessings, so I can't afford to run around and complain. For me to complain would be an idiot. You know what I'm saying? I can't. It's too many good things, like working for the Braves now. I've been working for the Braves for 40 years. So how can you work for somebody for 40 years and you got a right to complain about what? You know what I'm saying?
I understand completely, yes.
How can I complain? 40 years? Name somebody that worked for somebody 40 years.
That really is a testament to you and your long-standing relationship with the Braves.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So you're talking to Ralph Garr, you're talking to joy. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking for nothing. If you're going looking for something negative, you got to find it somewhere else. Because 40 years is a long time to put over to anybody, sir.
Yes, so even though you went 0-3 in that All-Star game, you still felt great to be part of that.
Oh, I still could win. And to many called a ball down the line that I pulled, and I wasn't a pull hitter. So I said, well, that's all a part of baseball.
And it was in September, you're facing the Padres. You went down with a knee injury in the bottom of the first. You know, Marty Perez hit a single. You go from first to second, Roland Office. He comes in the pinch run. What do you remember in the moments up until that injury when you went down with that knee injury in September against San Diego?
Well, it just sort of pulled a cartilage on the inside a little bit there and scratched the ligament a little bit. So I remember that, yeah.
And what do you remember feeling, and what did you do to get better?
Well, you just back then, you know, they'd give you cortisone shots and stuff and everything. So I was able to rehab it a little bit and work on it and build it back up. And I never did have surgery. My knees are bad right now. I remember I hurt my knee in Chicago when they had that disco night. But you know, I was scared to tell them that I'd hurt my knee because I was a runner. See, people don't know there's a lot of stuff involved in this baseball, you know. And I was trying to get 10 years in, so, you know, and you was a runner. And I remember when Tony La Russa, I remember when he first took over, he wasn't a good fan of mine and stuff, so I knew I wasn't going to be around too long with him there because I played against him in the Dominican Republic, and he was a little second baseman and stuff, and I was a pretty good player over there in the Dominican, and he would try so hard to get me out, but he could not too much. You know, in a way, play I could hit the ball by him or bunt the ball, and so he just really never did get too much for me at all because I was a pretty good player. But I never did do nothing to him, but I don't know why he didn't like me, but he never really liked me.
That's how things go in this game sometimes.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right.
When you went down, you had 204 hits. The National League record for most in a season, 254. That's by Lefty O'Donnell in 1929. His Hall of Fame teammate Bill Terry the next year in 1930. At the time, George Sisler held the record with 257 hits in 1920. Had you stayed healthy, do you think you could have broken at least one of those records? How close do you think you could have gotten?
I'd have had a chance, I'll tell you that. I'd have had a chance, I'll tell you that. I'd have definitely had a chance.
How close?
And if you look for the front and the back of it, you would think more of a chance, wouldn't you?
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's all I was saying. So, but like I said, in my career and everything, I got a lot of joy. I have way more joy. Just like you know, you watch the world now, it seems like everybody is separated, but people. There's a lot more good people than there are bad people. That's what people don't understand. I think people understand, but if you're truthful with yourself, there's a lot more good people than there are bad people in this world, sir.
Yes, indeed. And like I said, you were also the first player in history to double your salary through arbitration. Here you are in 1974. You make $55,000. The Braves offer you $85,000. You ask for $114,500. The arbitrator sides with you. So, what was the negotiation process with you and the Braves that offseason? Take me back to that in the negotiations with what they offered.
Well, Mr. Eddie Robinson was the general manager, and Bill Lucas was the assistant. And then Bill Lucas was the one that was supposed to go all of my arbitration and stuff. And Mr. Eddie Robinson didn't even come. I don't think they didn't really. I don't know why. I don't know. Well, they just said stayed on the 85. And so I said, well, if they're going to sell the 85, I'm going to sell 114 and 5. I didn't think they really wanted to go too much, but I said, well, if you don't want this for, ain't no sense in me turning around. So I said, no, we don't worry about trying to meet half. I said, you stay with 85, I'm going to stay with the 14.5. We're going to let the arbitrator figure it out. And he gave it to me.
And that must have felt pretty good then, because it would have been hard to argue against you at that point, the kind of season that you had.
And that's when I have to tell you again that Pete Rose helped me because he was a singer hitter and he was making $100,000 at that time. You know what I'm saying?
That is correct. Yes.
And see, Pete Rose opened the door for singer hitters all over baseball. That's when I'm trying to say hold it to him. He made singer hitters fairly important. Volkswagen drivers. You know what I'm saying? Usually just them Cadillac drivers and them home run hitters. But you know, Pete Rose made the singer hitters be able to drive a Pontiac or something sometime, or Ford, you know.
That is correct, yes. And in 1975, you lead the National League with 11 triples, but you hit 278. You hit 278, which is a drop-off from your 353 batting average the year before.
Right.
What kind of adjustments do you think they were making to you, and how were things different in 75 compared to your banner year in 74?
Well, you know, they made adjustments and stuff, and I think that if I'd have stayed in the league and came back the next year, it'd have been a lot different. But you know, that's just baseball in itself. That's what I said. I was just blessed, and I was able to get 10 years in. So, like I'm telling you, if you're looking for something negative for me, I don't have it because look at the success I've had. You know what I'm saying? Like now, I'm still working for the Braves. I'm talking about this is going on my 41st year with the help of the Lord. You know what I'm saying?
Not asking for anything negative, just your personal thoughts on what you think was behind going from 353 to 278. That's all I'm asking.
Well, they just got the best of me that time, and then I don't think I was as focused as I needed to be either. You know what I'm saying, sir? And you can feel when they thinking about making a change, moving you and stuff, or you wasn't as much of a part of the team as you felt that you once had been. You know what I'm saying? All that have a little bit to do with it, but I didn't use that as no excuse, you know. But I went on to Chicago and let them know that I appreciate them letting me come now. Of course, when I went to Chicago, it wasn't as if I got traded because Mr. Paul Richards went over there, so he just took me with him. So my whole career basically was with the guy that signed me. That's what I like.
Yes, indeed. 75 was your last year in Atlanta, and then you hit 300 in both 1976 and 1977. How did you get back to form on the south side of Chicago? What brought you up to being a good hitter again, good average hitter from 75?
Well, we had a good hitting team then. They had Oscar Gamma, George Jordan, Chet Lemon, Claudia White. They had some pretty good players. They had some pretty good little hitters over there on that team. Lamar Johnson, you know what I'm saying? And George Jordan was always a good little hitter, you know? And he's a nice human being, too. So I just, you know, we were the south side hitmen. We had a pretty decent team of hitters there for a few years.
Sure enough, in 1976, that was when you guys wore shorts for 3 games. How did it feel to be wearing shorts in baseball? How'd that feel?
Well, I'm back to telling you again. Mr. Bell Beck was the promoter of baseball. He made a lot of money in baseballs and promotions. My job was to play. It wasn't my job to say what we played in. It was my job to play baseball. I didn't care what I know he wouldn't do nothing. Wouldn't try to do nothing that would hurt us. I didn't think so. And I'm on his side. I'm on Mr. Beck's side all the time. My owner, I don't think he would do nothing to hurt nobody because he's the boss and he owns the team and he's trying to make money. I would think so. For me to, other than play baseball, I was hired to play baseball. I wasn't hired to manage the team or to tell them how to run it, you know.
That is true, and you did play on some good teams in your career. The Braves in 1971 and 74, the 1977 White Sox, like you said, the Southside Hitmen. They had a lot of home runs, Richie Zisk, Oscar Gamble, Eric Soderholm, but there wasn't a very good pitching staff, and you guys all finished in third place.
I never did. That was my thing. I never did really play with a good pitching staff, and that makes a big difference, sir.
Is that what you think was missing from those teams, and why you guys didn't really have?
What I'm talking about, well, you look back over. Look at the Mets when they won. They didn't have a whole lot of big hitters, but that pitching is what they had, and they won the World Series.
Yes, indeed. I mean, you guys scored.
And if you notice, look at the Braves. When I was there, we had Ron Reed and Pat Jarvis and guys. You know what I'm saying? They were pretty good. I would say third type starters, but when we got them number one starters, you see how many pitchers we won. You see what I'm saying?
I understand that. Yes.
Yeah.
You guys scored.
What I'm saying.
The 1977 White Sox scored 844 runs to be exact, but there was no starting pitcher on the team with an ERA under 4.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So how you gonna beat anybody? You can't beat nobody like that.
Well, you guys that year in '77, you played the first ever game in Blue Jays history because the Blue Jays were an expansion team that year.
Exactly.
And you were the first player that the Blue Jays ever faced.
In that field, right.
Yes, what did that mean to you to be a part of that? And take me back to what you remember in '77 facing the Blue Jays and being the first hitter they ever faced.
Right, I went back for a game for that. I went back to recognition for that, being the first hitter in the park. They had a game that they would recognize us for that, and I went back up there on a promotion for that same thing, for being the first hitter in Blue Jays history up there. So that was wonderful.
Yes, you let off on the top of the first.
I tell you, I've been really blessed. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, I've got a lot of good smiles in baseball.
I do understand that, yes, it's come up on 40 years for them. 40 years for the Blue Jays.
Right.
So, you talked about Disco Demolition earlier. You didn't play in the first game against the Tigers. Were you supposed to play in the second game?
Yeah, well, I think so. But they met Mr. Beck. He said, I think we had to forfeit that game or something. It was a bad situation.
You guys forfeited that game against Detroit. You forfeited against the Tigers.
Right, sure did. They forfeited. It was a bad situation. I hated that though, but that was all a part of it. That's one of the little things that I didn't. Mr. Beck, I didn't want nothing to happen to him because he felt that what he was doing was promoting the game of baseball, and that's what he thought he was doing. He wasn't no guy that was going to hurt anybody.
But yet in '79, you get traded to the Angels. They went to the ALCS. You didn't play though, because 10 years earlier you were also left off the postseason roster when the Braves went to the NLCS. I'm wondering how you found out your feelings. If you thought you'd have more opportunities. What sort of happened?
I think I'd have been more of a help than I was, but that was all a part. I was a little early and a little late, so I just thank God for both of them,
Right, and your last season was in 1980. You played in 21 games, and that was it, and they released you, the Angels did.
Right.
Was that it for you? Did you know that was it, or did you want to keep playing? No one reached out. How did that go?
Well, nobody really reached out that much, and I could tell that I didn't really want to go down to AAA and stuff like that. I needed to get on and get with my life and try to get my family and try to get close to them and figure out what we're going to do the rest of my life. So, and then just I'm glad that it happened like that because I was able to come home, and then I went out there to a winter meeting with Henry Aaron, and that's when I got the job with the Braves. So it was a good thing.
Yes, you started scouting for them in '85. He was director of player development. What do you consider to be your biggest accomplishment as a scout? What do you consider your proudest achievement in your scouting career?
Well, to work for Mr. Paul Snyder, I think that's a great achievement, and to be a part of an organization where I thought we've had a lot of success in the game of baseball. The Braves, they got a hit. Well, I think it's going to be hard for anybody to do what we've done in the past. But and as you look at now, we have a new scouting director, Brian Bridges, whom I think is on the right path of helping the Braves to be very competitive again as far as doing the thing we need to do to try to help make us better. And we just went through a little change, and when you have changes and stuff, it's hard to really have success until you find out what you really going to try to stay with. Changes is okay, but changes creates misunderstanding. And most of the time, the more changes you have, the longer it takes for you to get to your destination, I think, You got to try to figure out some type solid form. You know what I'm saying?
Was there one player you scouted in particular, any players you scouted that you... there was
a guy named Michael Brewer played in the big league a little bit, and a guy named Chris Stolzenbach was a couple of kids that I got. One was a left-hand pitcher, and one was a right-hand pitcher, and both of them played in the big league. They were pretty good little players.
Those are players that you scouted?
Yeah. And the Braves this year, we signed a guy last year that I scouted named Mueller. He's a big left-hand pitcher out of the Dallas area. Now, I'm expecting him to be a good pitcher. I think he was our second pick or third pick last year. His name, Mueller. He's a big left-hand pitcher out of the Dallas area. I really think that he has a chance to pitch in the major league.
Yeah, I remember seeing you on TV at the draft. You announced one of their draft picks. They took a lot of pitchers. Right. They took Ian Anderson. They took Joey Wentz. They're really going on pitching, and they got the rebuild with Dansby Swanson, and now the new stadium coming up. I'm sure you got thoughts on that, too, the new stadium in 2017.
Right. So you're right. So I think we're gonna be a lot. I think we're gonna be a lot better this year. I think Mr. Brian Bridges has done a real good job as far as the time that he's been with us. He was in our organization before. That's like what I'm saying. This is a guy that's been with us a long time. You know what I'm talking about? And he knows some of the things that we need to help make us better, and that's a good thing.
What do you look for in a young player when you're scouting in terms of fundamentals?
Well, you want him to be aggressive. You want him to have instincts. You want him to have a feel for the game. And if he's a pitcher, you want him to have velocity and feel. The thing that you try to look for in a pitcher because it's important. You know what I'm saying? To know how to play the game. No matter what type of ability you've had, you got to know how to put them in use and to take advantage of them,
Last but not least, your son, Ralph Jr., he's also a scout for the Cardinals. How are things like...
He don't work for the Cardinals now. He worked for the Kansas City Royals now. And that was a situation that you talk about people having an opinion. I never did understand why the Cardinals let him go. He's not complaining or griping because he's working, but he's had a lot of success, and I didn't understand that. I don't know what it was over there, whether it was personal or what it was, but I just thought, that he was. I don't know, I don't know what they did over there to feel that he wasn't needed anymore. But that was sort of a downer for me. That sort of made me search myself inside to wonder. But my son, he's a good worker. He's a college graduate. He's knowledgeable. He got guys in the big league. I can't understand why would you run him off? I didn't understand that. But thank God that he's got a job with the Kansas City Royals, and I was hoping and pray that he'd do a good job over there with them.
So what are some of the things you taught him about the game and about scouting?
He signed couldn't back himself and was able to go to college on the baseball scholarship plan. I think I spent $1,500, my wife and I, for his college career. Mr. Paul Snyder signed it, and he was able to play for about 3.5 or 4 years or so, and he was granted a scholarship in baseball, and he used the baseball scholarship to graduate from college. And then he's come out of baseball, graduated from Louisiana Tech, and he went to work for 8 years for Baltimore. Then about the last 5 or 6 years with St. Louis. Now he's with Kansas City.
And I'm sure you're very happy
he's
for us.
He's done real good. He's a good kid. And he's a knowledgeable kid, and he's a baseball man.
And Ralph Garr, thank you so very much for your time, and thank you to the listeners. Until next time, for Ralph Garr, this is Corey Stolzenbach. Have a safe and happy New Year, everybody.